100.5 The Vibe, the soul of the seven cities. Come through Thursday with your main man, Tone Hollywood. And of course, we got that door wide open for people to come by and talk about some of the great things they got going on in the community. And we're going to talk about something today that I don't have as much knowledge about, but I think it's some information that people really need to know about. We're talking about support and also talking about caregivers and what they provide for people, how you can get involved. And I have the coach. I got the coach right here. Yeah. I knew you think they had to do some research.
You know what?
Please give it up for Lasheena McBride, aka Sheena, the coach. What's going on?
How you doing? Thank you
Sheena.
for having me.
Of course.
I appreciate the time.
Of course. Glad to have you here because I feel like you provide something that a lot of us don't talk about until we need it. Right.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? We don't really have that education that we talk about. So let's go. Let's take it back. Let's talk about how you support caregivers. Let's talk about that right quick.
So we support caregivers. That's my baby because it was birthed out of my own personal journey.
Wow.
When I became the primary caregiver of my mother at the age of 19.
Wow.
At that time, when I became a caregiver, I didn't even know what the name for it was.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I was young and I didn't know. But, later on in my journey, because my mom transitioned back in 2018. So, I was her primary caregiver for the longest time. And, of course, my other family members, they chimed in and helped, whenever they could. But when everybody left, it was still, me and mom, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I didn't understand my journey. I didn't know why I had to be the one on that journey. But 2017, I was sitting on my couch next to my mom. And really, I just feel like God just led me to just write this stuff down, so it was a divine thing. I had to do it. So 2018, we support caregivers, which is a 501c3 organization that encourages and empowers family caregivers to cultivate and focus on self-care was born. And the rest is history. We're 8 years old, and being there as a resource for caregivers.
That's lovely. And like I said, that's just something we really don't know about.
Correct.
Until, unfortunately, we have the situation where now we have to.
Yeah.
That. So what does support for caregivers look like? What type of...
Okay, so if you notice, a lot of organizations offer support for caregivers that are taking care of their loved ones. And really, the support goes to the loved ones they're taking care of.
Right.
We support caregivers to make us different. We're focused on the caregiver. The mindset is, you have to take care of someone and neglect yourself. And that's the wrong narrative. And we want to change that narrative by placing the emphasis on caregivers taking care of themselves. The two can coexist. You can take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. Okay. Right. The two can coexist. Statistics shows us between the first and second year of caregiving, caregivers develop their own health issues. And that really shouldn't be the case. And that comes from self-neglect. So our whole purpose is implementing self-care, whatever that looks like to you. You got your physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, social self-care. And that's like the top 5, but there's other levels of self-care. And we're encouraging them through our platform, our organization, to focus on those things. When we don't do that, a part of ourselves, we're neglecting those parts of ourselves if we don't implement, set aside the time to focus on those areas.
Right. What are some common stressors that you found and that happen for caregivers? What are some common things?
Stresses, like things that they go through.
Yeah.
Well, the caregiving journey can feel isolating. It can be a very lonely journey because I felt alone, even though at times I had people around me. In your mental space, you feel like you're by yourself. You're always thinking about your loved one, depending on what health conditions or their situation is. You're always thinking about them. So it can be a very lonely journey, maybe mentally lonely, you know what I mean? Emotionally lonely. You feel like nobody really understands you. The stress is, the loved one's condition or health issues. That's the stressor, their demands, their needs. You need to do things for yourself, but you tend to put them first. You know what I mean? You're not eating right. You're not sleeping right. Things of that nature. So those are some of the stressors, some of the things that caregivers go through.
I never even thought about that because I've never been in that position, but it makes sense now because you're so focused on the person you're taking care of. And then, hey, did you go pick up your meds today?
Correct. Did you schedule your physical today?
Right. Did you do
exactly.
that? So
exactly.
I can see that. I have to do that. I do that with this job, by the way, but that's another story. But yeah, I can see that now. And it's good to know that there's a service out there for caregivers now that they can go to they can talk to someone.
Yes.
What was something that you thought that happened to you when you were taking care of your mother that made you say, you know what, this needs to be shared? Like I need to be able to share this with other people about what I'm going through to see if they're going through the same thing.
You know what? Truthfully, in that moment on that journey, I didn't know because I was still trying to figure out, well, God, why does it have to be me? Why am I on this journey? I didn't realize till after the fact when, divinely, he put down all that stuff in me to implement. Then I realized, oh, that's why I had to go through the journey to birth the organization that can be a blessing, could be a help to other caregivers. So I really didn't see it until I was out of it, till, after the fact.
Right. Went on to your website. It's a great website, by the way.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, course,
thank you.
What I saw some of the services you provide, but I said, no, I'm not going to talk about it. I want you to talk. So what are some of those things that you provide for those caregivers?
So one of the things we provide is our caregiver collective.
Yep.
The collectives. That's one of the things we invite caregivers to come out quarterly to take place of self-care activities, to get involved in self-care activities. We had a candle making one where they can make their own candles, just to get them out of their usual situation of caregiving for the moment and to focus on some type of self-care activity. That's one of the things that we have. We have other programs such as, we have Don't Take It Personal, it's dementia. A lot of caregivers are taking care of loved ones who have dementia. Yeah. So we have a dementia facilitator, and she does that, virtually, just to educate caregivers. Hey, don't take it personal. It's dementia. Don't take the disease personal because it's what they're going through. They can't help it. It's dementia. That's one of the things that we offer as well. We have our understanding grief. So that's our grief coach. She facilitates that program as well, where, we invite caregivers to come on to understand grief. A lot of times people think grief is associated with death of a person, right, but grief is also the loss of anything that you cared about. Some caregivers had to give up their corporate jobs to take care of mom and dad. Anything that you had a close tie to and you have to give it up or you lost it, you can grieve that. You can grieve your own identity. A lot of caregivers are losing their identities because they're in the role of caregiving. That's all they're known as now. It's just the caregiver, so those are some of the things that we offer so they can understand grief, a safe space to talk about their feelings, no judgment, things of that nature.
This is just an amazing program you got here. You know
what I'm saying?
And it opens my eyes on that, the needs of caregivers.
Correct.
Is this not really taught in class? I mean, I won't say class, but when people are learning about, or studying to become, a caregiver or something like that, or if they're not put in that role, is this type of thing not provided? Because it's great what you're providing now, but it seems like this is something that should be kind of a side course.
I get it. The reality is a lot of people fall into the role of caregiving.
Okay.
If you're not going to school to be an RN, or, if you didn't choose the PCA or CNA path as the professional caregivers, professional healthcare, if you're a family caregiver, you fell into that role. I fell into that role. So I went through hard knocks. You understand? It was some hard knocks. So you can't learn about something if you don't know you're going to be in that position. Right. You understand? So this came after the fact. So I will encourage people who are now caregivers and think they would be caregivers. We support caregivers as a resource out there for you, and you can visit our website, wesupportcaregivers.org, to learn more about us and see how you can, take advantage of what we're offering you. But we're for you, the caregiver.
Right. Coach Sheena the bomb, ain't she? SheenaBomb.com. She is
you funny. You funny.
I love this. This is a great conversation, because like you said, a lot of people end up becoming a caregiver, and like I'm an only child, so I know that one day that could possibly happen. My father has a nurse aide now, so there's been some struggles here and there, but I know ultimately if something like that's happened, it's going to be me. Right. And so as you get older and you see your friends going through that and stuff like that, it can be. I feel for anybody that goes through it. At the same time, what you're providing is grade A, is top tier for what people need. With that being said, someone like me that maybe get ready to face that or is facing that.
Correct.
What's the best advice you can give to them if they were trying to decide if they should be their caregiver or should they hire a caregiver? So
I would say it depends on your lifestyle. Let's just say this. I was the family caregiver. My family, we decided mom wasn't going in a nursing home, nothing like that. Even when she transitioned, she was in hospice at home around her family, a nice transition. it depends on your life. Like, I know some people that still kept their jobs, but they moved out of their homes and moved in with their parents who they now have to take care of. They're making it work. So that depends on your situation. If you want to hire, the CNAs, the PNAs, PCAs, things like that to come in, that's fine. You know what I mean? It depends. It just depends on your situation and you individually. What time can you give? What time do you want to sacrifice for that? You understand? So there's many options. And, I look at it, you have to do what's best for you. But as long as you can still take care of yourself, and still your loved one can get the care they need. I also know caregivers that started as being a family caregiver, but different life dynamics happen to where now mom is in a facility, but they're in the facility every day, checking, bringing mom food, whatever, very interactive, which is very important, because unfortunately, sometimes if you're not an involved family, sometimes your family member might not get, some things can happen, if you're not really involved, and I'm not saying it's purposely done, but it's always best if you're going to choose a facility route, something like that, always make sure you're present. Present. So I would say it just depends on what time can you give, you're willing to sacrifice, you know what I mean? And you take it from there.
In 2019, in 2020, my father was recovering from hip surgery, and he was in the facility for a while. It was going good for a while, and I was in South Carolina at the time.
Okay.
So when I would come home, I would come visit him and stuff. But eventually, he got to a point where he was like, "I won't be here."
Right, and that's typically
So that's where I kind of started thinking about, okay, well, if things turn a certain direction, what you gonna do? Which is one of the reasons why I moved back to Virginia. Thank God that's a blessing with this job. But one of the reasons why I came back was to keep an eye on him and my mother. As opposed to being 8 hours away than being,
that's
just 20 minutes away. Now, they're in Hampton. But I commend you for this. And that was the first time I thought of, like, oh boy, am I a selfish son? Like, that kind of put the guilt on me. Like, geez, should I get up my job? Should I be moving home? Like,
no. And a lot of people had that thought process. Right. And that's what I'm saying. Unless you're in it, you can't judge nobody.
Yeah.
If putting your parents or putting your loved one in a facility, you still have the right to live your life.
True.
That doesn't make you a bad son. That'll make you a bad daughter, because you're saying, you know what? I can't give up my job right now, but I can still put mom somewhere where she can be cared for, and I can come every weekend or every day after work. I know people who do this. Right. That don't make you bad, selfish, or anything. You understand what I'm talking about? So, that's your right. You can do that. That doesn't mean you love your parents or loved one any less because you're choosing the facility route. No. So let go of that false guilt. Okay, let's shake it off, shake it off, shake it off. Okay. Shake it off. And, that doesn't mean you love your mom, dad any less because you're choosing to put them in a facility route. Just make sure you're present. Make sure you know what's going on here. The doctors, like even my mom on my journey, she had to go in a rehab facility for 21 days because she had an infection and they couldn't treat it at home. It had to be intravenously given through IV. So she had her own private room. I stayed with her. And I knew all the nurses, and when I want to go take a little break or go home and get new clothes or whatever, I would say, hey, call me. And they will call me, hey, this is going on. We're about to clean your mom. We're about to do this. So just being very inundated, very involved, and that could be a good route for you. So, yes, utilize your options. Look into your options on what best for you and what flows with your life. You still have to be able to take care of yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean? I know somebody who took on a second job because her mom is now in a facility. She took on a second job because her mom money or insurance or whatever, it passed the amount of what they're going to pay for. Right. So she took on a second job to make sure her mom could remain in the facility. Right. You know what I mean? Like that. So it depends on your situation, but it doesn't make you good, bad, or indifferent because you was like, you know what, mom can't stay with me. I don't have the setup. I don't have the space, but I can put her in somewhere that can take care of her. And I will be that involved son or involved daughter.
Just being honest with yourself.
Right? Yeah, like, keep it real. Be honest with yourself. Sure.
Like really. And I think that's why I kind of struggle with the guilt and but seeing him do well is like, well, I couldn't have provided that, but at the same time, like I said, being honest with yourself is something.
And then my thing is caregiving is hard. It's challenging.
Right.
Even if you did bring dad home, being in a rehab facility, there's physical therapy and stuff like that. Like my mom had everything at home because she had dementia. It was hard to get her out the house. So I had everything come to her from her doctor, the physical therapist, everything came to her. But again, it varies, but you may not been able to provide the best care for your dad if he was with you. And this is where we got to know ourselves, know our own self. You know what I'm talking about? So the facility, the rehab facility, that was best for him. It
really was, yeah.
You know what I mean? So shake it off any guilt. That's, yeah.
When so much great information. I can talk to you all day. But there's so much great information about what you do for support care community. I think what I want to ask you the most is what was I know you went through, you did this with your mother.
Sure.
But for you to put this, have the passion to do this isn't easy. Right. I mean, to be able to be there, to be that voice and to be able to support others for that. Where does that come from? I mean, were you already a giving person before you started taking care of your mother, or
you know what? I was just saying the other night to myself, I didn't know I would be the person that would have a nonprofit organization. I have 2 masters. I work in healthcare. I also
it's smart what we saying, man. Clear that room.
I have a business background, so I didn't know I would be the one that is more community oriented to want to really look out for the needs of the community. It came from my own personal journey.
Right.
So that's where the drive comes from. If I can prevent a caregiver from going through what I experienced with the hard knocks, then that's what I'm going to do. And that's what we're here for. You know what I mean? That's what we're here for. If you don't have to develop a sickness, if you don't have to feel stressed out, this is what we're here for. So you have some resources and stuff and people to reach out to and things of that nature. So your journey can be, a little bit less easier. Easier. If there is such a thing with caregiving, easier. You know what I'm talking about? True. So yeah, so the drive comes from that. And I just feel like this is purposeful and that this is why God had me go on that journey to birth an organization for other people to help them on their journey. So I guess my journey was a game changer for somebody else.
It sure was. That's exactly what it was. How can people reach you? How can people get in contact with you? They hear you here, see you on the podcast. Where can they get in contact with you?
Well, I mean, the organization We Support Caregivers.org, you can go there, a plethora of information. Me personally, I'm on Facebook, Lasheena Renee McBride, so you can look me up and things like that. But yeah.
You're such a ball energy. I love it. I love when I match energy up here. Sometimes I gotta bring it out of them. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be like, we're gonna start over again. 3, 2, and 1. Let's go. Okay, no, but I love that.
We have some up and coming things. Okay. I know we're gonna have an open house with one of our partners, so more to come on that. I mean, you can request me. You want me to come speak to a group of caregivers, things of that nature. You can request me on our website because we have that form where you can fill out and we see it and stuff like that. So yeah, and we also have podcasts. We have our caregivers and caregivers content. Caregivers and Caregivers Conversation podcast. Caregivers, and get it right someday. Caregivers and Candid Conversation podcast. Once a month, new episodes talking about real stuff, candid, conversations about what caregivers are going through, different experiences, things like that.
With that being said, for those people that are in college or people that are trying to be an RN and stuff like that, what do you think is an advantage of being a caregiver? We're talking about all the bad it can be, but what about the good about being a caregiver?
Well, okay, my own personal journey. So me being my mom primary caregiver led me to a healthcare career. So I work in dialysis. I'm a clinical certified hemodialysis technician. Okay. And, I'm on my path to nursing because my job is paying my way through nursing school. So, it started from take care of mom. Care of mom. So that's a benefit. And then even if you're a caregiver, just like my journey opened the door to have something birthed to help fellow caregivers, you never know what your journey is for. So, I tell people don't despise your journey because, again, you don't know how your journey is going to be the game changer in somebody else's journey.
Right. I saw something, too, when I was researching about you being a kidney health.
Yes. You want to talk about?
Yeah, please. Let's talk about that. Yeah. I'm diabetic, by the way, so I'm type 2.
Oh, okay. So we need to. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk. Let's talk further.
Definitely will.
So my mom, she had type 2 diabetes.
Okay.
Which led to high blood pressure. My mom wasn't a good manager of her, diseases. Yeah. It led to kidney failure. And that, again, being a caregiver, I went to dialysis with my mom 3 times a week. You know what I mean? Fast forward, she transitioned. I ended up getting an opportunity to work in dialysis. It blew me away when I learned through my training and stuff like that renal failure, chronic kidney disease is actually preventable. It's actually preventable. And other diseases, the number 1 and number 2 diseases that causes chronic kidney disease is diabetes and high blood pressure. So I became a kidney coach through the American Kidney Fund, so I get to educate the community about the prevention of chronic kidney disease myself. And then, my program facilitator, Celeste Wooten, she's also a kidney health coach. Her knowledge comes from polycystic kidney disease because that runs in her family. So we wanted, because that was my story as a caregiver, why I ended up becoming my mom's caregiver. Because when I think back at 19, really what my mom was going through, her kidneys were failing. Wow. When I look back at all the symptoms, her kidneys were failing. She ended up having congestive heart failure, and one thing led to another. And, her kidneys failed. She had to go on dialysis, and she did that for 5 years on and off, basically. So knowing that it's preventable, yes, I'm an advocate.
Right.
You know what I mean? Take care of ourselves. It's lifestyle. It's how we're eating. It's, exercise, all that type of stuff. You know what I mean? So yes, I wanted to become a kidney health coach to help other people not to have to go down a road. Right. And I feel like if you know better, do better. Applied knowledge can change everything. You know what I mean? What we don't know can't hurt us.
Right.
So.
I was going to ask you that because, I've gone to, we're going to sugarcoat nothing on here. Okay?
Come on. We're going to keep it real.
Well, I've been to, since I've been back, I love my area. I love being back at home. I've been to a few, I want to say like health awareness events and stuff like that. We don't come out. We don't come out, unfortunately. And there's these great resources here that are telling you about insurance, telling you about medications, they're telling you about being active, all these type things that I know that you preach and stuff like that you talk about for, not just for kidney health, but for heart health, for, whether it's diabetes, all types of stuff. How can we get us to start being a little bit more active about going to the doctor, in your opinion?
Okay.
So because you're such a fireball of knowledge, I want to know what you think.
You know what? We're in denial. I think a lot of people are in denial. Yeah. A lot of people are in denial, like, well, my mom had it, so I can't. No, the reality is, you've been predisposed to it. I realize I've been predisposed to diabetes. I've been predisposed to things. And if I don't keep up my lifestyle, I could be that. Yeah. And I don't want to be that. I watched my mom go through that because she wasn't a good manager a good steward of her health, truthfully and painfully, as that hard for me to say, but it's the truth. So, I think a lot of people are in denial. I think a lot of people believe they can eat and do what they want to do and not suffer the consequences. Working in healthcare, first of all, I did it with my mom. Mm-hmm. Now being in healthcare, no, you're going to reap that. Yeah. You're going to reap that. So we have to take better care of ourselves. Nobody's exempt. Right. Nobody's exempt is what I'm saying to you. And the reality is a lot of the patient demographics that we have, most, Black people, we're the number 1 and number 2 when it comes to certain diseases, diabetes, high blood pressure. I'm talking about a lot of my patient demographics, they're Black. Yeah. I'm talking about. So it's getting out there, it's advocating, it's changing your mindset. It's, you don't want to repeat the patterns of your mom, dad, whatever. That don't have to be you. Right. Just because they had diabetes and high blood pressure, that don't have to be you. If you change your lifestyle, it starts with your mindset and things of that nature. Getting educated, taking advantage of the resources in the community, the community fairs and things like that. You know what I mean? So it don't have to be you. You can change that with your mindset. Man.
Coach Lasheena, I call you. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
So much for You're very welcome. Here. And while I got you here, the background of like seeing you, you're involved in sports a lot. You're a big UConn. Did you go to UConn, or are you just a big UConn
I didn't
fan?
Go to UConn, so I'm originally from Stamford, Connecticut. Okay. I am a UConn Husky fan. Yes, so, when UConn conference changed, and there was in the same conference as East Carolina, my sisters and I, we would go to the game. So if you've been through my timeline, you see me with Coach Hurley and Coach Gino.
Assistant coach, by seeing something like
So I never played, in college or anything like that. But I played recreationally, basketball and stuff like that. But I am a UConn fan, absolutely. The men and women,
But they had a great season.
I know.
I know it was heartbreaking that they didn't bring home the chip, but
it's okay.
They're always there.
Yeah, we're always there, and we're going to be back there. Let's make that clear, okay? We're going to be back there, okay? But it's okay. It's funny. When we met Dan Hurley, right? Right. He told us, he said, you know what? I'm going to get these boys straight. And that next year and the year after, they end up winning the championship. Yeah. So he did the thing. They did the thing. You know what I mean?
And I'm a Laker fan. So when they initially was talking about trying to bring him up to LA, I was like, you know what?
You know what? Listen, I don't want. He don't need to go nowhere. We good. Our program is good, but yeah, I'm definitely a sport fan. Absolutely.
I feel like Coach K. I think he's in the right spot. I don't think he needs.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Waters of the NBA or anything like that.
No.
But back to you before we wrap things up. Once again, let everybody know where they can get in contact with you and how we can just understand what you got going on so we can help support.
So again, the best way is to go to WeSupportCaregivers.org. All the information there. You can go to the contact section on our page, reach out to us, and we'll get back to you like in 24 to 48 hours. And me, you can just Google me. You can search me on Facebook, Lasheena Renee McBride, and we can connect like that.
Coach Sheena, thank you so much for coming through and giving us some of this knowledge.
Absolutely.
We have to have you back again.
Yeah. Have me back. Yeah. Yes, invite me back, please.
Yes. You have like I said, the seat at the table and seat at the studio.
Well, thank you.
You might have to take over and play some song. I know you say, you got your own playlist and you can stream the thing. But, we do throwbacks around here. So,
okay.
You just think about some older stuff you want to play and we got you. But thank you once again for coming through on this Thursday.
Thank you, Hollywood. Appreciate you so much.
Hey, that's what we do right here at 100.5. The Vibe, baby.
Yes.
Thank you.